Hello, welcome to Study Circle. Today we are going to read Class 11th Standard Political Science, Part 1, Chapter 3, Equality. This video is the summary of this whole chapter. If you are preparing for any teaching exam, this video is going to be very useful for you. So, without wasting any much time, let's start. Equality. In this chapter, we read about the concept of equality, a value that is enshrined in our constitution. Equality is a powerful moral and political idea that has inspired and guided human society for many centuries. It is implicit in all faiths and religions which proclaim all human beings to be the creation of gods. As a political ideal, the concept of equality invokes the idea that all human beings have an equal worth regardless of their color, gender, race, or nationality. It maintains that human beings deserve equal consideration and respect because of their common humanity. It is this notion of a shared humanity that lies behind, for instance, the notion of universal human rights or crimes against humanity. In today's world, equality is a widely accepted ideal which is embodied in the constitution and laws of many countries. So, what are the history of equality? In the 18th century, the French revolutionaries used the slogan liberty, equality, and fraternity to revolt against the landed feudal aristocracy and the monarchy. The demand for equality was also raised during anti-colonial liberation and struggle in Asia and Africa during 20th century. It continues to be raised by struggling groups such as women or Dalits who feel marginalized in our society. What are the social paradoxes of equality? The society is a complex world of unequal wealth, opportunities, work situation, and power. Everyone accepts that ideal of equality, but still presence of inequality in everywhere. In India, one can see slums existing side by side with luxury housings. So, what are the aspects of equality? As a socio-political idea, it invokes the ideal that all human beings have an equal worth regardless of their color, gender, race, or nationality. The smooth functioning of society requires division of work and function, and people often enjoy different status and rewards on account of it. Differences of treatment. It may appear acceptable or even necessary. For instance, the position like Prime Minister or Army General does not against the notion of equality, provided by the privileges are not misused. Some inequalities may seem unjust. For instance, it is unfair if a child born in a slum is denied nutritious food through no fault of his or her own. Unacceptable form of inequality, when people are treated differently just because they are born in a particular religion or race or caste or gender. If human beings are able to develop the best in themselves, equality has not been undermined. The commitment to the ideal of equality does not imply the elimination of all forms of differences. It suggests that treatment must not be predetermined by birth or social circumstance. Equality of opportunities. The concept of equality implies that all people as human beings are entitled to the same rights and opportunities to develop their skills and talents and to pursue their goals and ambitions. In a society, people may differ with regard to their choices and preferences. It is not the lack of equality of status or wealth or privilege that is significant, but the inequalities in people's access to such basic necessities such as education, healthcare, safe housing that make for an unequal and unjust society. So, what are the natural and social inequalities? Natural inequalities. Natural inequalities emerges between people as a result of their different capabilities and talents. They are a result of different characteristics and abilities with which people are born. Natural qualities are generally concerned that they cannot be altered. Instead of that, social inequalities that socially produced inequalities emerged as a consequence of inequalities, opportunity, or the exploitation of some groups in a society by others. Social inequalities created by the society. Social inequality reflects the values of society, and some of these may certainly appear unjust. So, what are the disadvantages of natural or socially produced distinction? Not always clear or self-evident. When certain inequalities in the treatment of people have existed over a long period of time, they may appear as justifiable because they are based on natural inequalities. They are now seen as distinctions made by society as a result of the differences of power between people and nations rather than based on their inborn characteristics. Some natural differences need no longer be seen as unalterable. For instance, advances in medical science and technologies have helped many disabled people to function effectively in society. So, what are the dimensions of equality? There are three dimensions of equality, that is political, social, and economic. So, first one is political equality. In political equality, it is necessary to remove any legal hurdles which might exclude people from a voice in government and deny them access to available social goods. Equal citizenship brings certain basic rights such as the right to vote, freedom of expression, movement, and association, and freedom of belief. These are considered necessary to enable citizens to develop themselves and participate in the affairs of the state. So, what are the social equality? Political equality or equality before the law is an important first step in pursuit of equality, but it often needs to be supplemented by the equality of opportunities. The pursuit of equality requires that people belonging to different groups and communities have a fair and equal chance to compete for those goods and opportunities. It is necessary to minimize the effect of social and economic inequalities, guarantee certain minimum conditions of life to all the members of the society. In India, a special problem regarding equal opportunity comes not just from lack of facilities, but from some of the customs which may prevail in different parts of the country or among different groups, like women may not enjoy equal rights of inheritance in some groups. Significant role of states. It should make policies to prevent discrimination or harassment of women in public places or employment, etc. So now what are the economic equality? Economic equality exists in the society if there are significant differences in wealth, property, or income between individuals or classes. What are the measuring degree of economic inequality? Measures the relative differences between the richest and poorest groups to estimate the number of people who live below the poverty line. With equal opportunities, inequalities may continue to exist between individuals, but there is the possibility of improving one's position in society with sufficient effort. What are the dangers of inequalities? Inequalities which remains relatively untouched over generation and more dangerous for a society. Division of classes. If in a society certain classes of people have enjoyed considerable wealth over generation, over time such class difference can give rise to resentment and violence. Because of the power of the wealthy classes, it might prove difficult to reform such society to make them more open and egalitarian. Ways to promote equality. The best ways to promote equality is that establishing formal equality, ending the formal system of inequality and privileges. The inequalities all over the world have been protected by customs and legal system that prohibited some section of society from enjoying certain kinds of opportunities and rewards. Attainment of equality requires that all such restrictions or privileges should be brought to an end. Since many of these systems have sanctions of law, equality requires that the government and the law of the land should stop protecting these systems of inequality. Equality through differential treatment. Sometimes it is necessary to treat people differently in order to ensure that they can enjoy equal rights. Certain differences between people may have to be taken into account for this purpose. For instance, disabled people may justifiably demand special ramps in public spaces so that they get an equal chance to enter public buildings. Some countries have used policies to affirmative action to enhance equality of opportunity. What are the affirmative actions? The idea of affirmative action is not sufficient to establish formal equality by law, but it is necessary to take some more positive measures to minimize and eliminate entrenched forms of social inequalities. It is designed to correct the cumulative effect of past inequalities. It can take many forms, from preferential spending on facilities for disadvantaged communities, such as scholarships or hostels, to special consideration for admission to educational institutions and jobs. India have adopted a policy of quotas and reserved seats in education and jobs to provide equality of opportunity to deprived groups. A special protection. Certain groups have been victims of social prejudice and discrimination in form of exclusion and segregation in the past and been denied equal opportunities. Time-bound special assistance. Special consideration will enable these communities to overcome the existing disadvantages and then compete with others on equal terms. Criticism of positive discrimination. It is against it is against equality. Any provision of reservation for the deprived in admission for higher education or jobs is unfair as it arbitrarily denies that other section of society their right to equal treatment. Reverse discrimination. Equality requires that all persons to be treated alike when distinction between individuals on the basis of their caste or color are made. It reinforces caste and racial prejudices. What are the reasons for positive discrimination? First, it is guiding principle. Distinction between equality as a guiding principle of state policy and equal rights of individuals. Individuals have right to equal consideration for admission to educational institution and public sector employment, but competition should be fair. Different circumstances. People from deprived strata may be at disadvantage due to historical reasons. Members of excluded groups such as Dalits, women, etc. deserve and need some special help. The state must devise social policies which would help to make such people equal and give them a fair chance to compete with others. Any policy that state choose would have to justify it in terms of their success in making the society more egalitarian and fair to all. While reflecting on the issue of equality, a distinction must also be made between treating everyone in an identical manner and treating everyone as equal. The latter may on occasion need differential treatment, but in all such cases, the primary consideration is to promote equality. Equality and women's movement. In 19th century, women struggled for equal rights. They demanded equal rights as men like the right to vote and right to work. As they entered the job market, they realized that women required special facilities in order to exercise these rights. They need sometimes to be treated differently if they are to enjoy the same rights as men. So other concepts are feminism. Feminism is a political doctrine of equal rights for women and men. Here is a long paragraph about feminism in your NCERT book. If you wish, you can read it from your NCERT book. So feminism is a political doctrine of equal rights for women and men. Feminists are those men and women who believe that many of inequalities we see in society between men and women are neither natural nor necessary and can be altered so that both and women can lead free and equal lives. According to feminists, inequality between men and women in society is the result of patriarchy. This term refers to social, economic, and cultural system that values men more than women, gives men power over women. Patriarchy is based on the assumption that men and women are different by nature and that this difference justifies their unequal position in the society. So you can read it from your NCERT book. Now, what are socialism? Socialism refers to a set of political ideas that emerged as a response to the inequalities present in and reproduced by the industrial capitalist economy. The main concern of socialism is how to minimize existing inequality and distribute resources justly. They favor some kind of government regulation, planning, and control over certain key areas such as education and healthcare. So, what is Marxism theory? The root cause of entrenched inequality. Private ownership of important economic resources such as oil or land or forest as well as other forms of property. Karl Marx pointed out that such private ownership also gave them political power which enables them to influence state policies and law. How to tackle inequality in society? To go beyond providing equal opportunities and try and ensure public control over essential resources and forms of property. Liberals. Liberals uphold the principle of competition as most efficient and fair way of distributing resources and rewards in society. They ensure a minimum state intervention in standard of living and equal opportunities for all. This cannot be itself bring equality and justice to society. For them, as long as competition is open and free, inequalities are unlikely to become entrenched and people will get due reward for their talents and efforts. Unlike socialists, liberals do not believe that political, economic, and social inequalities are necessarily linked. So, what are the 7 revolutions or Saptakranti? The eminent socialist thinker Ram Manohar Lohia identified 5 kinds of inequalities: inequality between man and woman, inequality based on skin color, caste based inequality, colonial rule of some countries over others, and economic inequality. He argued that these inequalities had independent roots and had to be fought separately and simultaneously. He added 2 more revolutions to this list: revolution for civil liberties against unjust encroachment on private life, and revolution for non-violence for renunciation of events in favor of satyagraha. So it becomes the Saptakranti. So this is the summary of this whole chapter. If you like this video, then please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you.